Okay, we are live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Metaphysical Bible Hangout. This is the Bible study for Up Church, and I'm Reverend Sherri James, Senior Minister of Up Church. And we're in the midst of a series based on Bruce McArthur's book, Your Life. We've been talking about universal law, and today is a conversation that I am really excited about. We're going to be talking about self mastery. And we've been on this in this conversation of personal transformation, and there is no personal transformation absent self mastery. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint and we can get right into it. The question is to answer really for yourself. It's not rhetorical. Like, this is really for you to ask what is true for you, which is how important is self mastery. And the chapter that we're working from is chapter 11, Laws of Self. And so I want you to just take 60 seconds and ask yourself this question: on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is self mastery to you? Why, and then why or why not? So how important is it? Is it important? Scale of 1 to 10, and then give me your why. And if you're on the line, you can unmute yourself and speak it, or you can put it in the chat. 30 seconds. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is self mastery to you? And should be why, really. Or if it's not, I guess why not? I probably should ask for just a definition of self mastery. Ray says 12. Okay, got it. That's yes. I understand that. Wonderful. Where is self mastery for you? That's our time. You know what, Ray, I would have to concur. For me, self mastery is really everything. I like it. It keeps revving up even higher. Constance says 10. I only have mad power over my own thoughts and feelings, and have come to the realization that I have no control over anyone or anything. Yes, yes, yes. Andrea says 10. I think mastering yourself means mastering your mind, which is how we create our world. And Ray says it is the path to peace and happiness, wisdom and understanding. And Alita says 10 plus, very important since I now know it is the why. It Okay, I don't know if I read that right, but it is the why I'm here. Yes, yes, yes. I know for me, like I said, for me, it is an absolute 10. Yes, and MAD is mastery, authority, and dominion. Yes, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Um, yeah, I would say for me, it is like level 10 or above. That it is, I'm very interested in what, and not what are my limits, because I don't have any limits, but can I break through what I believe are my limits? That's what I'm really deeply, deeply interested in. Can I break through what I believe in I have no limits, but I do in the sense of what I believe my limits are, and can I bust through them? Or will I forever allow myself to be chained to those limits? I'm very, very interested in that level of breakthrough. And I think it's possible. I want it. That's the bottom line. I want it. Um, so our outline is pretty straightforward. We've got announcements, opening prayer. We're going to talk about why universal law matters for you. Then the thing about self mastery, I want to just share just some insights that I've gotten as I've been working on that. And then we're going to talk about 8 rules to master yourself that are based on the laws of self that are revealed in chapter 11, and then Q&A. And of course, I always ask, please ask questions. Gosh, why is it doing that? I don't know another way to get around that. All right. It's giving me a problem with the PowerPoint to show you guys the PowerPoint where it's the full screen. Uh, Yes, yes, Constance. Yes, you may share the blog. She says, I loved your blog and copied your text. May I have your permission to share with the ladies? Yes, amen. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Maybe I'm just not gonna have it the way that I want it today. This is gotta get that. Anyway, know your why. Pay it forward, right? So this is why I do the Bible Hangout because in it was July. I can't tell you the exact date, but July 1998. It was Panorama of Truth in Chicago, Illinois, and I walked into the room and I saw this woman, and this is the late Reverend Dr. Mary Tumpkin. And she opened her mouth, and my life has never been the same. I actually rewrote my bio because I wanted I wanted to change it, but I wanted to say that I am the way that I am because of who she was. And she just I didn't even know I loved the Bible. I had no idea there was even something that you could want to do. And so I just I really just am so grateful for her and so thankful for her and for the example that she set. And those of you who had the opportunity to know her, you know what an incredible firebrand she was. She was literally a force of nature, and to be in her presence was just incredible. And I got a chance to do this. I was in my 20s and I just showed up wherever she went. And Reverend Penny, who's on our board of directors for the Universal Foundation, will say, and it's the truth, is like Sherri was the original Mary Tumpkin groupie, and I was because I wanted to soak up everything that she was teaching, and I saw possibility. I saw what I could become, and I wanted it. And so I just loved her, loved her, loved her. And though I want to do for you and for anybody who's willing what it was that she did for me, which is to wake up this thirst in me to be my best self, to go so deeply in myself that I find that which is uniquely mine to give to the world. And so I it is why I show up no matter where I am in the world. Next week I'll be in Virginia and I'll be doing the Bible Hangout. Actually, I think I'm doing it in LA and then I leave Thursday night. But the point is that when I was scheduling my flight, I scheduled my flight so that it meant that I would be present on for Thursday night. And so and that was the way that Reverend Mary was. She was so black and white isn't quite the word, but it's the only thing that I can think of. She was so black and white, like this is just what it is. Like it's they're just non-negotiables. And when I hope I'm not taking too much time away from the lesson, but when they got ready to build the building in Miami Gardens, they had an instance where the money that they had to build was stolen. I think by the business manager, the attorney, or somebody. And so she and the other people got out there and started building the building themselves. And it was like, I'm going to build. I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to build. And someone stealing from me or taking from me is not going to stop that from happening. And there's a level of commitment, drive, unshakableness that she had for her purpose. And I want that for myself, and I want to awaken that in you. And I believe that our world will be a better world if we have people who are really committed, who don't move with every wind that blows, who are not shaken by the things that come up in our experience, but we stand firm, flat footed, and look in the face of any obstacle and say this and not that, period. And so she was just that kind of woman. It was amazing to see and to experience. This hangout is free, but it does cost to produce. If this is a blessing to you and you want to see this get better, so one of the things you'll probably notice tonight is that there are lights. It's a better picture because a portion of the donations were used to purchase lights to just create a better picture because nobody wants to look at a dark video. So a gift of any size is greatly appreciated. I also want to fix this background. So if this is helpful to you, consider making a gift. And thank you if you decide to. The way that this series works is that there's the blog that comes out on Thursdays, the Bible Hangout Thursday night, and the Universal Law Library. And I found the most amazing free treasure. That's the thing. The Universal Law Library is free. The only exchange is that you are on my mailing list, and I only email twice a week. One just to give you the link ahead of time for Thursday, and then Thursday is a blog post. But this week, what I found, and I'm so excited about it, is this resource. It's a Thomas Troward treasure, and it's incredible. It is a it's the hidden treasure, and it's a PDF of this classic book. And so take a look at it. A lot of the people that we read and that we study Thomas Troward, and I really believe in studying who my teachers studied. So you can kind of go back and see where they got the inspiration for some of the things that they did, and you can see how they took portions of their message from Thomas Troward and from his writings. And so enjoy that. That's an incredible find as I was online looking for just cool stuff to share with you. Next week, Friday and Saturday, I will be speaking both Friday and Saturday at the Unity Church of Tidewater, first as a part of the Fillmore Festival, and then on Saturday as a part of the Metaphysical Bible Gathering. If you're in town, I would love to see you there. I get alerts as people are signing up, and so I'm getting excited seeing all of the signups that are coming in. It's going to be an awesome, awesome Bible gathering, and the Fillmore Festival, just a celebration of the work of Charles Fillmore. The Money Poems is online, available on Amazon.com. This is the first book that I published, and so it's available for print on demand. I thought I would have the Kindle file updated, so my commitment to you is that it will be updated next week. So those of you that are Kindle people, it will be up next week, no matter what, non-negotiable, done. I won't come back next week and have this story to tell. It'll say Kindle file is available. But grab a copy, leave a review on Amazon. Something that you say can make the difference for somebody else. And so I thank you for an honest review of the book. The scripture, do not think that I have come to abolish the law. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. And that is Matthew 5:17. And so let's just take a moment to just relax and just be in this space of openness, this space of complete wonderment, that right where we are, the presence and power of God is. And that we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to be more than we ever thought that we could be. We have an opportunity to grow, to stretch, to express our best self. And we just ask for the wisdom and the guidance and the faith to do that. And we ask that what we hear tonight be a part of expressing that, of getting us to that place of overcoming. And so we just open our hearts and our minds to hear something different, to hear whatever that next puzzle piece is to expressing our highest and best selves. And I thank you, God, because I know you hear every prayer. And so I relax knowing that it is so. And so it is. So my PowerPoint is not cooperating tonight. So unfortunately, you guys are looking at the not pretty one, meaning it's showing all the little slides on the left-hand side. So it just kind of is what it is. And I'll have to just go with it. But maybe, no, that's not going to do any good. Well, anyway, so if you only read one article about self-mastery, read this one. Why universal law matters for you. Universal law is the tool by which you learn to master yourself. And everything that you want sits on the other side of self-mastery. Everything that you want to be, do, and have sits on the other side of mastering whatever your hangups are, of getting out of your emotions. There is a quote, and oh, Andrea, you asked for the link. I sent the link in the email, but what I will do is that I will, while we're talking, I will send you the link, but I don't post it anymore because I think that that's how that those folks got in last week. But I will send you the link privately, my friend. Science reveals that 90 to 95% of our decisions in life are emotional. We really do think that that we are logical people, and that we consider all of the different, hold on. Okay, Andrea, I just sent it. We really do think that we make logical decisions. We're convinced of it. If you ask someone, they will tell you that they reason when they're making decisions, and that that they consider all the angles. They don't just kind of go off half cocked. And test after test after test reveals that fully 90 to 95% of the decisions that we make are emotional decisions. So we have to find a way to get outside of our emotions. Else, we will never achieve our full potential. There is a book I'm reading right now that I think you guys would enjoy, and I'll put the link in the show notes once we finish. But the book is called The 5 Second Rule, and the author is Mel Robbins. And she has a quote. She says that if you never learn to untangle yourself from your emotions, that you will never achieve your full potential. And what happens is that there are our brain is set up to protect us. And so when we hesitate in life, it sends a signal to the brain that something must be wrong. Now, your hesitation could be for any reason, but when you hesitate, it communicates to the mind that something is wrong, and the brain kicks in to keep you from taking action. And this is science. This is not spirituality, meaning it's true of you as a human being, but there's science and evidence to back this up. And so you must have ways to get around your own mind. And this self-mastery, this mastery of yourself, is a spiritual journey. They may be pursuing it and trying to understand it in the psychological and scientific realm, but it is a spiritual journey. And this is why David says, and I think it's maybe why he came to the conclusion in the 8th chapter of Psalm. This is, I'm going to read a few, the last couple of verses, but this is verse 6 through 8. It says that you have given them dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under their feet, all sheep and oxen, and all the beasts of the fields, the birds of the air, and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the path of the seas. Now, those of us that study scripture metaphysically, we know that each of those different entities represent different aspects of ourselves. So the fish represent our ideas of increase. The beasts of burden, or the beasts that roam the earth, represent those heavy thoughts, sometimes negative thoughts, but they're the thoughts of being realistic versus, thinking up, thoughts approaching spiritual consciousness. But then there are creeping thoughts. Those are the snakes that we have dominion over all of that. And it is in achieving dominion over that, meaning demonstrated dominion. Yes, you have it, but can you demonstrate it? That we actually release our highest and our best. There really are no limits on us. There are only the limits in our minds, and no one stops us but ourselves. That we say, well, I was kept out because there was a glass ceiling. No, somebody may have put up a glass ceiling, but I agreed that the glass ceiling could stand there and that I was going to stop trying. But the truth is that I can keep going. that I can look at what appears to be a glass ceiling and say, glass ceiling be damned, I'm going up anyway. And there have been people who do it. And what I want to be a part of and contribute to and a leader of is a class of people who tap into their spiritual potential and reach for their highest and their best. Who are able to throw off the bonds of race and racism and sex and sexism and whatever, and to ride into a future and prove that there are no limitations on who we are as human beings. That is, if there's a purpose that I have, it is that. And well, that's it. That's bottom line. And so universal law is the tool by which we get that stuff out of us into expression. Universal law is the way that we move through our limitations, that we, as we think, we activate the law. And so we purposely think in right ways so that we bring back more thoughts like that, and that we set in motion causes that produce effects that we want. I love this picture. I found this picture online, and you see there's a head, and then there are all these different faces in there that represent all of the different emotions, but all of the different voices that speak in our heads. And there's the uncertain ones, there's the fearful one, there's the angry one, there's the sad one, there's the pleasant one. And Aristotle said, and it stands today, that the hardest victory is victory over self. It will be the longest journey you ever take. It will be the hardest work you ever do. Few people value self-mastery. It's too easy to get distracted. Now, people will tell you that, well, we live in this social media drenched world, and that social media is creating all of these distractions. But nothing is created from the outside in. So these distractions were happening in us, and then they materialized outside of us. But we're not at the mercy of social media or where the world is right now. And we can dare to make self-mastery our top priority. I am convinced, this is my opinion, this is not necessarily what the UFBL believes, or what somebody believes, but as I have worked spiritually, gosh, you guys, there's something's up with the slides, and I don't know why the slides are giving me the blues. Let me see if what could I do? No. Yeah, I don't know how to get it it's not working for me. Okay. God bless this. So I am convinced that more than anything else, humankind lacks self-awareness. And that if we really knew who we were, all divisions of race, class, gender, all of that would fall away in an instant. Because when you know who you are, when you get, as David says in the 8th Psalm, that what is mankind, what is humankind, that you are mindful of them, that you have created them a little lower than angels, but basically saying that you are divine. I believe that you simply cannot harm another person. And so all of the hurtful, hateful things that we see happen because those things are active inside the people who are committing those acts. And that the moment that the idea of self-love awakens in them, it will no longer be permissible for them within themselves to do that for another person. I can't give you what I do not have, but what I do have, I can share. And so when you see someone harming another person, that what you realize is that this is what's happening inside of them. And as my friend would say, everything is created twice. It happens inwardly and then it expresses outwardly. And so the hate that is being spewed, especially at this time in our country and really a little bit around the world, that it is happening in the people who are expressing it. Do they feel superior? No, they don't feel superior. When you know who you are, you have no need to denigrate another person. When you know who you are, you have no need to cause bodily harm to another person because you value yourself too much. I'm not saying let people off the hook. I'm just saying that you cannot do, when you know who you are, you simply cannot. It becomes an impossibility. That even if the urge comes up, you will talk yourself off the ledge because it's not what you do. It's not what you stand for. It's not what you're about. And so I believe that as we grow in that self-awareness, we grow in that commitment to not pass out hate, to not pass out harm. Okay, I'm gonna just keep going. I don't have my PowerPoint. God bless it. So the first rule, and if you have the blog, you can pull it up. It's the blog post that's up on revsherry.com. Is to stop seeking a cosigner. Really, stop seeking a cosigner. Maybe this will help. Hold on, I have an idea. This might be better. It's not great, but it'll be better. So the first rule is to stop seeking a cosigner. So this is the law of individuality, right? You are the most important person in your world. And what you see out there, meaning when you look out with your eyes, what you think, feel, experience, and know is your own world. In fact, it is your universe. No other person sees it the way that you do. And we're constantly looking for agreement in our world. Don't you see this the way that I see it? And we call friends and we talk to friends. Don't you agree with me that this is what's happening? And we get angry if someone doesn't agree with us, or we the feeling is the way that I see it is the way that it is. And it was the poet Anai Nin who says, no, that we see the world as we are. We don't see the world as it is. Thank you, Andrea. We see the world as it is. But what Spirit is calling for us to do is to rely completely on ourselves. Because when you do that, when you stand in your truth, you literally obliterate the fear of what others think and say. So many times we hesitate, right? We're in a meeting at work or at church or wherever, and we have this idea and we want to speak on the idea, and we get ready to say something and we hesitate. And when you learn to completely rely on you, you obliterate fear of what others think or say. It just is not a factor for you. You also slaughter self-doubt. How many times have we wanted to do something and we come back from a conference and we are motivated? We're going to take our designs and we're going to put them online, or we're going to start that class that we really want to teach, or we're going to go ahead and start writing that book. And that motivation lasts for you might not even get off the plane with it. It may dissipate by the time you get back to your own house. You've left the confines of the conference, of the conclave, of the whatever, and now you're back in your world with all the familiar stimuli, And all of the enthusiasm that you walked out of the conference with is gone. And it's because we are constantly in our emotions thinking about what other people think about us. And the law of individuality says what you see out there and what you think, feel, experience, and know is your own world. In fact, it is your universe. And when you accept that, when you agree to that, you get to this place where you can stand on your own and you don't need a cosigner. Nobody has to agree that this is the way that I should go. That I know that it is for the highest good of me, and what is for the highest good of me is for the highest good of everybody else. That no harm can come from me, no harm can come to me. And so I step forth boldly, trusting that I will be protected. And here's the thing. When you go ahead and do it, people show up. They were waiting for somebody else to do it. And the thing is that each of us has something that we were meant to do that other people are waiting for somebody else to do it. That before I stepped out and said, I'm going to do a Bible study online. I didn't know if there was a Bible study online or not, but I was like, hey, I'm going to get up and do it, you know? And all of a sudden there are people all over the world, y'all, thank you, that showed up that care about the Bible as much as I do, but who are not interested in the fundamentalist teaching. But as long, sometimes we get in that the paralysis of analysis, and we're sitting in that space so long that the energy passes, the years pass, and then what'll happen? Because I've had this happen, where an idea that you had that you were excited about but lost the energy for shows up and somebody else does it. Baby, you haven't. Oh, I had an experience like that. I developed this idea. I can tell it because it's already been done. I had developed this idea called Bronzeville. This is when I was working in entertainment. It's called Bronzeville. And what Bronzeville was it was all of the Jack and Jill kids grown up out of Chicago. And and so it was a reality show based around this community of people in Bronzeville, in Chicago, who had been basically the Jack and Jill kids of their day, right? Of the 70s and 80s. And I went to BET and pitched the show. And BET said, you know what, go shoot a pilot. And I didn't have the money to do the pilot and didn't believe I could get the money to do the pilot. And no sooner than 2 years later, maybe not even a year later, I get a phone call from BET, from the executive that I know there. And she says, I just want to let you know, this is, this idea came in and we're going to go with it. But I want to let you know because I don't want you to think that we basically took your idea and ran with it without attaching you to it. And basically they're doing the show called Baldwin Hills about the Jack and Jill kids in LA, not Chicago, in LA, and following them around as they raise their kids, their millennial kids. So I know what I speak about. I've had that happen over and over and over and over again. And there is a place in me that says no more. No more. That I am going to honor it, and I will come out with it looking crappy or however it comes out. I don't care, because I'm not going to let what I have in me just sit in me. It's coming out. I no longer need a cosigner. I'm not asking for permission, as Lisa Nichols would say. I'm not asking for permission. I'm serving notice. And it's that place that we have to get to. And I know we all have it. This is a universal thing. This is universal. This is not about only few people have it. All of us have it. We have had ideas that we have seen show up because there was someone else who was a little bit bolder and willing to go forward and do it. However it came out. They weren't looking to be perfect with it. They were simply looking to get started. Uh-oh. Oh, how did, okay, here we go. All right. This is going to be a funny Funny day, y'all. Let's go to the next slide. Rule number 2, take your mask off. People are so afraid of what friends or society or will say, or they're afraid of failing publicly. But here's the thing about failing. You now know what doesn't work. You now know what doesn't work. And there is, we're afraid to stand out. But the thing is that all the joy you could ever imagine sits on the other side of your fear of rejection. Really hear that. Everything that you want to do, the joy that I get from experiencing you guys and getting to know, half of y'all, I didn't know y'all. I didn't know you at all. I mean, some people I knew just because of UFBL, but not everybody, right? All the joy you could ever imagine lies on the other side of your fear of rejection. And there was a voice in my head before I launched the Bible Hangout, right? But I didn't listen to that voice. And so I get the pleasure of your company because I didn't listen to that voice. And the question is, what joy are you cheating yourself out of because you're listening to the voice in your head? Your tribe is waiting for you to step out and be different. Really get that. You didn't even know that they were there. You won't even know that they are there until you go ahead and put one foot outside of your comfort zone. And the thing is that what would happen if you just go ahead and throw that other foot out there, right? Just 2 feet out the comfort zone. You just might find that you have a veritable army of supporters standing with you, but you will never find them unless you take a chance and be your true, authentic self. Can you do that? Is it worth it? My answer is yes, but it's got to be a yes for you. Hope this works. Okay, kind of, sort of. Rule number 3, no one is greater or lesser than you. We know that, but we still put people on pedestals. But you have to remind yourself, and you might have to remind yourself all the time, all of us come from the same source and we're created equal, each being a child of God and each having God within us. Your true needs, wants, desires, hopes, dreams, wishes, and their fulfillment are as important as those of any other soul in existence. There is a guy online, and I've heard 2 people say this, and I'm eating it because it's really resonating with me. This guy's name is David Goggins, but I heard Lisa Nichols say the same thing, that one of the challenges with labeling people extraordinary, so Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, or whoever you put on a pedestal, right? Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, whomever. The challenge with labeling them extraordinary is that it lets you off the hook. And so you got to take whoever it is that you got on a pedestal off of the pedestal, or at the very least, climb up there with them. But when we put people on pedestals, we let ourselves off the hook. And so we will go through great lengths to support someone that we believe in, but we won't go across the street to support ourselves, who we really need to be believing in. You've got to raise the priority level that you have on your wants, needs, dreams, aspirations. They've got to come to the top of your list. Some of you might be parents. They still have to come to the top of your list. And we get so preoccupied with the needs and wants of the people over whom we have charge as parents that we put ourselves aside and we wonder, where did life go? Will it be easy? No, it's not. Listen, today was a fun day. I spent 3 hours in traffic, right? So so this morning I took Jordan to school, drove an hour to get here, then drove back at 2:30 to get him at 3:30, and then got back on the road at 3:30 to come down here and didn't get down here to 4:45. Is it easy? No. But is it worth it? Yes. And so it's to stop believing that just because you have charge of someone or the responsibility for someone, that there is no workable solution for you to still pursue your dreams. And so you must be willing to entertain the idea that there must be a way, because you know the dream didn't go away. You just stopped thinking about it, but it didn't go anywhere, because the moment you get a quiet moment, all the things you haven't done come creeping back up in your thoughts. And it's like, oh, I'll get to that after the kids graduate. Or, you know what, I'll get to that. When he's a little bit older and, I don't have to be so hands-on and he'll be a little bit more self-sufficient. No. No. Set the alarm clock, get up early. You know what time I get up? And I'm going to tell you, I'm not a morning person. 4:30. 4:30. And get up and write. Why? Because the dream didn't go anywhere. It just got to be achieved a little bit differently. And you can do it too. Whatever it is, you may have a handicap. There is a guy, Ray King, I heard, who tell that story? Oh, maybe Norman Vincent Peale or something. Anyway, no. It was the preacher at a Good Shepherd Church. Anyway, he tells this story. There was a guy who had cerebral palsy, and he felt like his life was basically not going to amount to anything. He ends up becoming a minister. He ends up marrying the woman of his dreams. And he ends every sermon by saying, I've got cerebral palsy. What's your excuse? And he has gone all over the world, built this, massive ministry and you guys know what cerebral palsy looks like. And he's built a following as a minister with cerebral palsy. And so his whole thing was that, okay, so I've got cerebral palsy. You see what I'm working with. You hear it in my speech. What's your excuse? And that's the thing that we have to get to, is that what is the excuse that we're giving ourselves, and then obliterate it. Lita says, like MJ said, if he didn't do his music right away, God will go and give it to Prince. Yes, yes. Andrea says, life is delicious when you dare to follow the yearnings of your own heart. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, wonderful. All right, let's get to this next one. Rule number 4, grow through service to others. Service to others is one of the basic requirements for spiritual growth. As you honor, respect, and love your own unique individuality, so you honor, respect, and love the individuality of others. Whenever I have trouble with this rule of self-mastery, I remind myself that I am created in the image likeness of the original giver, which is God. And giving is an indispensable part of my divine nature. I give because that's how I was created. And it was Mahatma Gandhi who said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. There is something that happens when you give. It transforms you. It changes you at the very core of your being. You are no longer the same. You are no longer the same. And so there is something beautiful when you find that which is yours, that is uniquely yours to give. There is a joy. So sometimes we give, but we're not necessarily thoughtful in the giving. We're just out, giving, right? Meaning that we haven't thought about ways that we were meant to give. But we've each been given something to give. This is not coming out clear. Your giving gives back to you. There's something that happens when you give, that it energizes you. So if you are giving and not being energized, then you're maybe giving in a way that is out, that is beyond what you should be giving. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Or, but it's not in your gifting, right? It's not in your gift mix. You want to be helpful, but you're giving in a way that depletes yourself. So but when you give in a way that is yours, so for example, this morning, because of the way that everything worked out today, this morning I've been up at 3:30 instead of the normal 4:30. So but I had, it was like, okay, I got to get this done, I got to make sure these things happen so that I can be on time and all of this. So I'm up at 3:30, and so I'm a little bit sleepy, but I'm here with you now, and I am awake. There's something that happens, like you come when you're giving in ways that give back to you. You come alive. Sleep becomes a non-issue. I watched this with Reverend Mary. We would sit, we'd be in meetings. This was a woman that could meet, and we'd be meeting for what felt like hours, like just hours. But she would be present and alert no matter how long we were meeting. And these could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hour meetings. We would meet all day. We take a break for lunch. She'd treat us to lunch, and then we get back to work, right? Or we'd order out and then get back to work. And she was present. She never like checked out. And there's something when you're walking in your gift where you're just there. And yeah, could you use a little bit of sleep? Yeah, you could. But there's something about your giving that wakes you up. And so how do I know I'm giving in the right way? Well, is it waking you up? Is it doing something inside of you? Is it exciting you? Because that's how you know that you're in the right space for you. And so you have to be bold enough to not give where it doesn't wake you up. So everybody might be giving in this way, and you may be in an organization, and it's like, well, everybody's got to do this, right? So everybody's got to help with this particular project, and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna have to say no, and I'm gonna have to risk y'all not being happy with me, because I've got to give in the way that makes sense for my soul. Otherwise, I'm depleting myself, and I'm over giving, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So I want to take a pulse of the 4 rules that we've had so far, and just take 60 seconds of the 4 rules that we've had so far. So we said, stop looking for a cosigner. That's rule number 1. We said, take your mask off. Rule number 2. Number 3, we said, no one is greater or lesser than you. And number 4, we said, grow through service to others. So of those 4 rules that we shared so far, which one feels like it needs your attention immediately? Because you can't do everything, right? But you got to do something. So which of those 4 is the one you need to put some attention on right now? Which of those 4 is the one that you need to put some attention on right now? So give you the rules again. So rule number 1 is stop seeking a cosigner. Rule number 2, take your mask off. Rule number 3, no one is greater or lesser than you. And rule number 4, grow through service to others. Constance says, number 1, stop seeking a cosigner. Okay, got it. Anybody else? Alita, grow in service to others the right way. Awesome. Andrea says, take my mask off. Yes. I think for me, no one is greater or lesser than you. I for sure, no one is greater or lesser than you. That's the one where I know that I spend a lot of time unconsciously. Sometimes I catch myself and try to stop it, but unconsciously comparing myself to other people. Phyllis says the reason why some do not follow their dreams is that some of us want to be like others. Then we start reasoning with ourselves that someone else has done it, so we listen to that voice and give up. And then Phyllis says, take the mask off, and Joe says, no one is greater or lesser. Yeah, that's the one for me. That it is. I find that it's easy to, admire other teachers, right? That people that I look at, because I really, when I, especially when I find a unique voice, I'm like, right now I'm reading, I shared with you guys last week, Helen Willman's The Conquest of Poverty. But I'm comparing my writing to her writing. Now mind you, she wrote in the late 1800s, but I'm comparing my writing to her writing. It's like, girl, she ain't got your voice and you don't have her voice. Or I look at like Ralph Waldo Emerson, and his writing is just electric to me. And then now I'm back in that in comparison mode. And so, or somebody present day. I remember when I read Pam Grout's Think and Grow Rich, and she wrote the heck out of that book. I mean, that book is so complete. It feels thorough on a level like, did she say everything there was to say about gratitude or what? And it was done so thoroughly. It was like I had to remind myself, wait. You have something to say about gratitude. Even if she said it, everybody can't hear it the way that she says it. So it's just that. So that's mine. That's mine. Andrea says all of them apply. Really, I just feel so insecure and inadequate sometimes. Yes, I understand that. Pick up the book, The Magic of Believing, the Claude Bristol, The Magic of Believing. He's got some exercises in there. One in particular that I use that has been helping me with exactly what you're talking about. And it's a quick read. I read it like in a weekend, and it was like fire, complete fire. All right, let's keep going. Rule number 5, prioritize your self-care. Now, y'all know this. When you get on the plane, they say, if this thing go down, put the mask on you first. You must first save self if you would save another. You've got to let your first priority be to care for yourself spiritually, mentally, and physically. The truth is that you cannot give what you do not have. If I ask you, and I will ask you, is there anyone in the community, there could be, is there anyone in the community that could go ahead and teach a class on astrophysics? Anybody out there that's in the audience that's an astrophysicist? No? Nobody's stepping up to teach that class? You cannot give what you do not have. I did an orientation for our spiritual baptism. We had two new members join, and I asked one of them, because there was one person that was there ahead of time. I said, "Hey, can you give me $100 right now?" And the person was like, "What?" I said, "Can you give me $100 right now? I need $100." And it was like, "Reverend Sherri, I don't have that kind of money with me." And I said, "Right, you cannot give what you do not have." We are so busy out trying to give what we do not have. And the thing is that whatever it is that you want to give it to yourself first. Whatever it is that you want to share with somebody else, give it to yourself first. So for your children, if you want your children to be confident, give yourself the gift of self-confidence. Do the work to grow your own self-confidence. And I thank you, Alita. She says, and no one can give you what you do not have spiritually. Yes. So I love the story of Moses. We pedestal Moses, right? We look at Moses and then we look at his Bible story. And he went and he told Pharaoh, let my people go. But the reason that he could be effective is because he freed himself. He spent 40 years in the Midian desert training with Jethro, practicing being free. How do we know he was effective at freeing himself? Because he was able to go back and then give that to somebody else. And so you have got to make your daily self-care your highest priority. That means set the alarm for a half an hour earlier, get up and do that reading. Do not stay in the bed. Hello, somebody. Do not stay in the bed. In fact, please don't consider it meditation if you just go wake up and stay in the bed, because you go back to sleep. You know you do. I do. Constance says, I've heard it said in another way that the very thing that you think is lacking is the very thing that we need to give. Feel like you're lacking love, then we must give love first. Yes. Lita said, you talking to me? Yes. So let me say this. This daily self-care, I cannot stress how powerful it is. And those of you that have been on our Lent calls, you know what this experience is like. At first it's like, oh my God, 40 days. Like, how am I gonna make 40 days where I show up every morning at 7 a.m.? And then you get to like day 10 and you're like, crap, I only have 30 days left. Because there's something that happens when you give to yourself in that way. And the thing is that, our prayer is hit or miss, our meditation is hit or miss. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. There is something that comes to you through you when you make it a consistent daily action. And I know you've experienced it because some of you have been in our Lenten calls. And you have the ability to do this for yourself on a daily basis. But what you've got to do is make the study a non-negotiable, where you've got to get up and get out of the bed and go to your prayer closet or go to your desk or wherever you do your prayer work. Read your spiritual text or your inspirational text. Do a little bit of journaling or something, but you're doing different modalities because you're touching the mind in different ways. So the writing, the visualization, the meditation, the prayer, if you chant, whatever that, all of those things they're different modalities to wake up the mind and wake up the energy, wake, as Paul would say, stir up the gift. Right. And you are waking that up inside of yourself. If you will commit to, just start with 5 minutes a day and make it consistent. Like if it's 5 a.m. every morning, then it's 5 a.m. every morning, meaning non-negotiable. I promise you, you can take this to the bank. In fact, if it doesn't happen, which I know it will, but if it doesn't happen and you consistently did 5 a.m., like really, really got out of bed, it will change you. It will change you. So it's worth the effort. Make the effort. You're worth the effort, but you got to prioritize it because you cannot give what you do not have. Rule number 6, trust your gut, right? So you got to give of yourself, right? Because giving, you find yourself in giving, but you give only to that point at which you do not feel depleted. Physically, mentally, or emotionally. So you don't move in opposition to what feels right for you. This is what I was saying earlier, even if it conflicts with another. And I learned this lesson, and I ended up, demonstrating it later when I got here to Up Church and got involved. And there were just things that was like, you know what, guys, I can't do that. I hear you, but I can't give in that way. And people were upset and whatever. But the thing is that I belonged to this church in Philadelphia, and caught up in the euphoria of giving, because there's a euphoria that comes. I overgave, and I volunteered so much they literally created an award to give me for volunteering. Like that's how much I was giving. That church is a volunteer thing, but I was giving at such a level that they were like, we gotta create an award for this girl. Like she is the ultimate giver, right? So, but what I learned from that experience, because when I finished, meaning I left Philadelphia to move to LA for film school, was that I was like I was done with church, right? And what I learned is that you got to give from your cup and not from your saucer. And I'm gonna get this little thing. This is from Linda. Linda gave me this, and it will allow me to do this demonstration. And so this is from my classmate Darrell, meaning this example. So you guys see this cup, right? And so this cup and saucer is going to symbolize our giving. So the thing is that if I fill this cup up, there's a point at which it's going to spill over into the saucer, right? I am meant to give only what spills over from the saucer. When I give from the cup, I'm giving from the principle. But what's in the cup belongs to me. And often what happens when we give and we feel resentful, or when we give and we feel depleted, or when we give and and we don't feel good about it, it is because we have given from the cup and not from the saucer. That what is in the cup belongs to me. And so I must continually keep my cup so full that something is spilling over. Because if nothing is spilling over, that means that I got to fill this cup. I got to pour enough in here that I create an overflow. And that's where that self-care comes. That you've got to so fill up your cup that what lands on the saucer, it's you don't even miss it. It's like, let me flick this off because I need to get rid of that. But what we try to do is that we want to be helpful, and so we start giving from the cup, and we end up depleting ourselves. We stop showing up because we're giving from the wrong place. We stop showing up, we get flaky, and we don't give our very best. And then we feel bad and we're apologizing to everybody when it's back it up and give only from the cup. Back it up and give only from the saucer. Constance says, point number 2, after learning with Dr. Pulley, we should look forward to giving from our saucer because our cup is continually overflowing. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. And so it's to realize that when I don't feel good about the give, when it feels like I'm doing it under duress or that I'm being compelled to do it, that I'm not giving from the cup. I'm not giving from the saucer. I'm giving from the cup. I'm messing this whole metaphor up. But the point is that give from the overflow. And I know in my gut when I'm not giving from the overflow. And you have got to trust your gut when that comes up and honor it. And when you honor it, when you honor that place in yourself and you are good to yourself, it feels good to give. And it feels safe to say no when you cannot give. Alita says, I have that demonstration on my table, but I still give from my cup. Yes. And I'm saying, make it a priority to keep what's in the cup for you. What is in the cup is for you. Only what is on the saucer is what's available. Only what is on the saucer is what's available. But the more you give to you, the more will be on the saucer to give. You control the pouring. It's not, nobody else pours for you. So in this analogy, I want you to understand that you have the fluid that's going in the cup. And the fluid that's going in the cup are the thoughts that you think. The fluid that's going in the cup are the thoughts that you think. And so if you don't prioritize your self-care, then you are subject to every negative thought that comes and goes. If your cup is filled with the news of the day, then only what is overflowing is the news of the day. If your cup is, let me back up. Your cup is always full of something. There are no empty cups. Your cup is always full of something. The question is, what is your cup full of? Is your cup full of love? Is your cup full of political news? Is your cup full of self-loathing? What is your cup full of? And this is not a hard question to answer. You know the answer in the instant that I even said the question. And that tells you what's on your saucer, and that's what you have available to give. Moses could go give freedom because he spent time cultivating freedom in himself. He spent time decolonizing his own mind so that then he could go back and actually give in a way that his people could receive. Number 7, mind your own spiritual business. Mind your own spiritual business. You and I are responsible for our own well-being and not that of anyone else. You came into this earth alone and you will leave the same way. You have others with whom you experience life, but with this existence, you are not responsible for them. As wise as you are, you do not know what is best for anyone but yourself, not even your child. As a parent, you have to stay in constant communication with spirit to know that you're making the right decisions for your child's development. And so before you give something to somebody else, pray. Is this the right thing? Am I moving in the right direction? What's the right school for this student to be at? Not the one that's going to make me feel good. What's the right school for this child to be at for him to unfold to his highest potential? You know, in my mind, I'm building a Harvard man. But what's the right school for him? What's the right school for him? And it's the same thing with anybody that's in your life, that you may have this idea that, well, they should do things this way. Well, be satisfied that you're doing it that way for you, and let that be enough. And rule number 8, form good habits. We are ruled by our habits. Think about that. We are ruled by our habits. If we have the habit of overindulging in food, then our bodies look like that habit which has ruled our palate. But it's true if we are, people who are late to work are constantly late to everything. Because it's a way that things are done. And what you can know is that you do have the ability to reclaim the power we have given away to other people and to our lower nature. So good habits are hard to form, meaning that if you're coming from, being a person who is constantly showing up late, then turning into somebody who's constantly showing up on time, that's hard. That's hard because you got a pattern. But once you form the habit, it's easy to live with. Bad habits are very easy to form, but they're hard to live with. So you always show up feeling bad. You're headed to the meeting, you're not going to get there on time, and so you're feeling some kind of way inside of yourself. So it's worth the effort. Give yourself the gift of a good habit. As we become master of our lower self, so all things, conditions, and elements become subject unto you. So this is what he says in the book. That's his language. But essentially what happens is that we try to control everything in the outer, right? We try to control our children. We try to control our spouse. We try to control our friends. We try to control stuff on our job. And the only place where we have some control, and Constance, you said it earlier, is that I've learned that I don't have control over anybody else but myself. But what happens is that when you actually genuinely get control over yourself, meaning that you show up even when you don't feel like it to do that which is yours to do, meaning that you know what, I've got an exercise discipline, whether I feel like it or not. I'm at the gym, right? Or it's I've got a writing regimen, and so whether I feel like it or not, I sit down and get those words in, but whatever that is, that when you master your lower nature, meaning the part of you that wants to skip out on the exercise, or that wants to skip out on eating well, or wants to skip out on whatever's your thing, that when you actually master that, it gives you mastery over all these outer things. And so the discipline then is not disciplining the stuff in the outer, it's disciplining you inwardly. It's that, are you somebody who you have a habit of hitting the snooze, which is a habit, by the way? Can you get rid of that habit? Can you form the good habit of, when the alarm goes off, I get up out of the bed, period? And it's when you begin to show up for yourself that way, where you overcome the feeling of, I don't feel like doing it, I don't feel like going to the gym, and I go to the gym, I don't feel like eating right, and I eat right, or whatever it is, that when you overcome those feelings, you begin to gain mastery in other areas. And it feels counterintuitive, because all you're doing is controlling yourself. But it is in the self-control that you gain control over all the things that you were trying to put your hands on. Andrea says, LOL, just this morning I told my almost 14-year-old twins that they should both be orthodontists and open a Miller and Miller business. We have spent so much on their braces. I was not kidding. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So it's time to do something, right? That you really can't do everything, right? These are a lot of rules, and this is a process. The question is, can you go back through the rules? Can you go back through, and I'll give them to you again. Rule number one, stop asking for a cosigner. Rule number two, take the mask off. Rule number three, no one is greater or lesser than you. Rule number four, grow through service to others. Rule number five, prioritize your self-care. Rule number six, trust your gut. Rule number seven, mind your own spiritual business. And rule number eight, form good habits. Just pick one. Which one resonated with you the most? And concentrate on that one. Because here's the thing. You can't change everything, but if you change one thing, it'll shift everything. You can't change everything at once. It's like a house of cards. You tear the whole house down trying to change everything at one time. But if you change one thing, it's like a domino. And it will begin to set off a chain reaction. And so maybe your thing is prioritizing self-care. Or maybe your thing is trusting your gut. So not hesitating to speak up, not hesitating to make a decision or to offer a suggestion. And so pick one. And then what I would ask is that, before you go to sleep tonight, just take 5 minutes and develop an action plan to fulfill just one of the one that resonated with you. Just set aside 5 minutes and say, you know what, for self-care, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop eating lunch at my desk. I'm actually going to go and sit in the break room and have my lunch at a table. Or what, but it is, what is something that you're going to do that is going to prioritize? The next time I'm in a meeting, instead of hesitating and when I have an idea, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to actually make the suggestion. I'm not going to hold back. Or maybe yours was mind your own spiritual business. Maybe I'm my adult children, instead of, thinking that I know what's best for them, that I'm going to actually act like they know what's best for them. Even if I don't believe it, I'm going to act like it, Again, it's what's the one that resonated with you. And then just, 5 minutes before you close your eyes tonight, make a real plan. And then finally, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then share this video with someone that you think can benefit from this information. Any questions? All right, I'm cutting that time down some. We're only 12 minutes over today. Any questions? Wonderful. Next week, we will be on chapter 12. Constance says class was excellent. I just want to know what you did to your hair. This was win and a twist out. Win and a twist out. So win hair and body care, and a twist out. And the twist out is, what do I do? Carol's daughter is the leave-in conditioner that I use. Carol's the lemon hair milk something. Yes. And I leave it braided up all week. So before you go, if you see me during the week, I literally, my hair is in braids, or twist, not twist. I don't do braid. For some reason, a braid doesn't come out looking right, but the twist is just literally a two-strand twist that I do, and it just stays in there all week, and then I take it down on Thursdays and Sundays. That's it. Oh, thank you, Andrea. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Wonderful. So next week, chapter 12. And I'll put those two books. I mentioned the 5-second rule, and I also mentioned Helen Wilman's The Conquest of Poverty. I'll put the link for the two things in the show notes. Have a great night, guys, and I will see you guys next week. God bless.